Steeler fans, what's going on? This is Jeff Hartman, editor of BehindTheSteelCurtain.com, here with you for another episode of the Steelers News. Yes, in case you missed our first episode, the purpose of this, whether you're watching on YouTube or whether you're listening to us on podcast form, is basically just to give you the rundown, to give you what the news that you need to know about the Pittsburgh Steelers. Whether it's good, bad, indifferent, you're going to know about it all in about 15 minutes. In my opinion, perfect for any Steeler fan that doesn't really want to sift through all the mindless jargon and just wants to hear about the black and gold. So with no further ado, let's get right to the news. The Pittsburgh Steelers are actually going to be back on the football field this week. No, not training camp. No, not pads, but organized team activities, or OTAs as they're commonly referred to. Now, OTAs are several phases, and the Pittsburgh Steelers are finally entering the phase where they can get on the football field. A coach can coach them. They can go through drills and actually have some semblance of football, albeit in shorts. I've always said this. Football in shorts is better than no football at all, in my opinion. There will be some news coming from organized team activities this week. You will get to see whether some of the rookies, especially Terrell Edmunds, first-round draft pick, James Washington, second-round draft pick. Going to talk about him later in a second. Some of these players, are they going to be out there with the starters? Are they going to be just doing reserve stuff? How do they look? Are they confident? Are they making plays? I know it doesn't count, but that's not what's important. What's important, are they making the plays? I always think back to Lima Sweet, and I know that bringing up that guy's name among Steeler fans is bad news, period. Second-round draft pick from Texas, everyone had huge hopes for him, and he fell flat on his face. Sometimes figuratively, sometimes literally. And Lima Swede never made plays at any phase, not in OTAs, not in training camp. He might have flashes here or there, but it was never the talk of, I'll give you a perfect example. Last year, preseason, before that offseason, everyone was talking about this Mike Hilton guy. Everyone said, I don't know what it is about him. He's not big. He's not tall. He's not super fast, but he is always around the football. What happens? Turns into a regular player, turns into a player that sees the field a lot for the Pittsburgh Steelers. That's what I'm talking about. So you will see some of that news, and we'll have all of that news, not only here on the Steelers News podcast and YouTube channel, but also, obviously, on BehindTheSteelCurtain.com. So that starts on Tuesday. This is being recorded on Sunday. That starts on Tuesday, the 22nd. Next bit of news, Troy Polamalu is a Hall of Famer for the second time. And you might be saying, second time? Did I miss him getting enshrined in Canton? No, you did not miss him being enshrined in the Pro Football Hall of Fame in Canton, Ohio. Why? He's not eligible yet. What you did see is probably heard is that he was inducted into the USC, University of Southern California Athletics Hall of Fame. Now, the one thing about this is it's his second Hall of Fame induction. He was inducted a few years ago into the Samoan Sports Hall of Fame and now into the USC Hall of Fame. In my opinion, these are just stepping stones to the big kahuna, and that is what I just talked about, the Pro Football Hall of Fame in Canton, Ohio. I think the next question that a lot of people ask, and believe it or not, there's been a lot of debate about this, just because of his position, is will he be a first ballot Hall of Famer? Will Troy Polamalu be a first ballot Hall of Famer? Now, you ask any Steeler fan, anyone that's watched him play, that the Tasmanian Devil, as crazy as he was, they would say hands down yes. But then there's others that take a more analytical view approach, and they look at safeties that have maybe gotten in the first ballot. Some pretty big names that don't. So it's going to be interesting. He's not up for a few years because he just retired a few years ago. But will Troy Polamalu be a first ballot Hall of Famer? I think so. Most Steeler fans will think so. Let me know what you think by commenting on this video, or if you're listening in podcast form or watching or listening on the website, BehindTheSteelCurtain.com, comment on whether you think Troy. Now, let's be honest here, okay? I don't want everyone to say, like, oh, of course he is. I mean, you got to see these plays. You think about the play like a San Diego Chargers in the snow, the interception, the huge interception in the AFC Championship game against the Baltimore Ravens, the jumping over the line of scrimmage to stop Joe Flacco and Kerry Collins on different occasions. Regardless, try to take your black and gold glasses off for a second. And I know it's difficult. I'm a fan just like you are. but ultimately think, is he really going to be a first ballot guy, or is he going to be in a second, third year? It's worth a discussion. We'll see. Let me know. Let me know in the comment section. Next news. I have to be honest here. I'm not a big college football guy. And people that follow the website, that follow what I write and the podcast that we do, they know this. I don't like college football that much. I feel like it's too watered down. There's too many teams, and it's too difficult for me to keep really close tabs on the Steelers and focus on them as much as I have to and still follow a college team. It just doesn't work out that way. So I end up having to do all this homework on players as they come in. And I have been watching a lot of Mason Rudolph and James Washington. It's easy to watch them because they were teammates at Oklahoma State. My goodness, are they impressive, in my opinion. And don't give me this spiel about the Big 12 doesn't play defense, yada, yada, yada. Look, they're making plays. I'll say this all the time with the Steelers. When they played the 0-16 Browns twice last year, did they have to apologize for that? Absolutely not. It's not Oklahoma State's fault that TCU can't play defense. It's not their fault that West Virginia University can't play defense. What these guys did is went on the field and just annihilated defenses. They went over the top early, often. I am unbelievably impressed. Now, I am a huge Ben Roethlisberger fan. Have been since they drafted him in 2004. But for the first time in my life, I can say that there's a part of me that's looking forward to life after Ben. I'm not saying that Mason Rudolph is ready to take over now. I'm not saying that I think that Ben Roethlisberger should leave earlier than he wants. Not saying it at all. If Roethlisberger plays 3 more years, that's fantastic. That's 3 more years the Steelers have a legitimate shot at winning a Super Bowl or multiple Super Bowls. What I'm saying is that for the first time since Ben Roethlisberger was drafted 11th overall in the 2004 NFL Draft, I can see a future at the quarterback position. Mason Rudolph's not a finished product, but ultimately he'll have time to learn, and that's exciting. That's the perfect recipe for success. Look at what Green Bay did with Favre and Rodgers. This could be similar. I don't think Mason Rudolph's Aaron Rodgers. Not suggesting that at all before everyone gets their panties in a bunch. I'm just suggesting ultimately that I think there's a future here, and that's exciting. Now, James Washington, ladies and gentlemen, meet Martavis Bryant's replacement. I've said this before. I said it on our show with Lance Williams. The standard is the standard last week. My goodness, what did Martavis Bryant do last year that has so many fans riled up about the fact that he's not on the team anymore? And everyone says, well, he was a distraction, meaning he could take the top off of defense. He would cause teams to not focus on Antonio Brown. That's it. I mean, how many times as Steeler fans did we watch a game where Roethlisberger would throw a very catchable pass and Martavis Bryant would look over the wrong shoulder, would quit running on the route? All this type of stuff happened over and over and over again. Now, maybe it's just a case of we as fans think about the last time. They think about the touchdown against the Jaguars in the playoffs. Regardless, I don't see Martavis Bryant as having these gigantic shoes to fill. It's like Brian Shazier. Those are gigantic shoes to fill on defense. I think that James Washington is going to be able to come in, and he's going to be able to do exactly what Martavis Bryant did. Now, you know what? If the defense doesn't want to give James Washington respect, doesn't want to have a high safety shadowing his side, he will torch NFL defensive backs. Guarantee it. He's not going to be going up against a top defensive back, folks. Who are they going to be putting that on? That's Antonio Brown. As long as Antonio Brown's healthy, then James Washington's going to see a number 2 or number 3 defensive back because Juju Smith-Schuster is also in the mix and there as well. I think they're going to be fine. I don't think they're going to miss Martavis Bryant at all. That guy was one bad piss test away from being Josh Gordon, so to speak. I think they will be just fine. This duo of Mason Rudolph and James Washington, folks, that's exciting. If you haven't done your homework, do it. Look it up on YouTube. Look it up on Draft Breakdown. I don't care where you watch it. Watch it. It's great. It's exciting for the Steelers in the future. And lastly, the last bit of news, want to just give a little commentary here on year 2 players entering their sophomore season in the National Football League, who I think are going to make a big jump forward. I'm going to give you 3 names. They shouldn't be surprising at all. Number 1 is TJ Watt, first-round draft pick last year in 2017. You could definitely see a couple things last year as a rookie. Number 1, it did seem a little bit too big for him at times, especially early in the season. He kind of looked lost, confused, not sure what to do. That will be gone in year 2. He'll be able to pin his ears back. He'll be able to know what to expect. Nothing will surprise him really in year 2. It's going to be a different TJ Watt that we're going to see. He's going to know what physically to expect from himself. He's going to be a lot better this year, so be excited about that. Second, Juju Smith-Schuster. A lot of folks are saying, well, how's Juju going to respond when the defenses are looking for him? I think he's going to be fine. They can move him all over the field, just like they do with Antonio Brown. They can put him in the slot. They can put him in the bunch formation. They can have him hovering over a tight end. They can put him out wide. He's super versatile. This offense is going to be just fine. I think Juju Smith-Schuster is going to have a great year. I think he's going to have over 1,000 yards receiving and is going to continue to be a big-time red zone threat for the Steelers, and that's exactly what they need. And lastly, a player that a lot of people might not think of, I'm going to go with Cameron Sutton. Sutton is a player who's going to be taking over that William Gay role on defense. He's going to be that nickel and or dime defensive back on the field, depending on how they utilize their sub packages this year with their safeties that they drafted. But I think that Cameron Sutton can really be a difference maker, and he's also really good depth on the outside. If Artie Burns doesn't play well, don't be shocked if you see Cameron Sutton going outside and maybe taking some reps away from him. This is something the defense and the head coach and the Keith Butler, the defensive coordinator, talked about last year as a possibility is if Artie Burns is struggling, Cameron Sutton's the guy. So those 3 players, and this is not going to be like oh my gosh, Jeff, I never even thought of that player. Everyone's probably thinking about these players, but they're players that you should all be thinking should have a good second year. Use that rookie year, get that under your belt, get ready for your second year, and have a really big season. That's TJ Watt, linebacker, Juju Smith-Schuster, wide receiver, and Cameron Sutton, defensive back. There you have it, folks. Steelers news on Monday, as most of you are probably going to be listening to this or watching this. Remember, we're on YouTube. Go to YouTube, search BTSC Steelers Radio. Subscribe. Give us a subscribe. Give us some thumbs up on our videos. We appreciate it. If you're not watching on YouTube, follow us on iTunes. Search The Standard is the Standard. That's our platform on iTunes. Subscribe. Get all this great information. And obviously, BehindTheSteelCurtain.com, your one-stop shop for Steelers news. We'll see you next time.